We've all seen the perfect YouTube videos of Iceland, and yes, it's spectacular. But what if we told you not everything always goes to plan?
We decided we'd take a break in the weather.
It's pretty wild out there.
We didn't expect to be here.
We're David and Paula. We're normally somewhere in off-grid Australia, but some of our followers asked if we'd ever tried a camper van adventure rather than our off-road caravan and our Defender tow car. So when we decided to tick one of our bucket list items and see the Northern Lights in Iceland, we thought, let's do a 2,000 kilometre lap around the famous Iceland Ring Road in a camper van on the cusp of winter. How different can it be? We'd love it if you like and subscribe, because that helps us send 100% of our YouTube ad revenue off to charity. And please follow along our not so perfect ring road trip in Iceland.
The road's been shut because there's been an accident on the road, which sounds nasty. So when you follow Google Maps,
Idiot.
When you follow Google Maps, it takes you the shortest way in this case, and it's a gravel road, 64 kilometres into Egilsstadir, the fjord. What was it, honey?
It's the first aid kit.
You right?
Yeah.
You're on the knob.
I'm okay.
We've got people overtaking us. Just silly stuff. They're going that way because there's about 4 cars in front of us. We just had a rough spot, and Paula got hit on the noggin by the first aid kit.
Now, I can't believe you just stopped there. What are you doing?
It's pretty spectacular, but you just don't stop there. Nice if we could find somewhere safe to stop, but we're not stopping with all this craziness. Yeah, it's getting a bit crazy on that on gravel road, so that's the shortcut to Egilsstadir. It's not going to be much faster, I might add. But it's very scenic.
Pretty too. Pretty spot.
It is a pretty spot.
Further along the road and over the mountain pass, we found another even prettier stop.
Bit of frost on the ground here. Temperatures that have dropped off over the pass. And Paul's telling me to be careful because I've already fallen over when it's not frosty. We weren't expecting to be coming up to the hill. We knew we were going to the fjord area. Been a slightly more adventurous drive today than we thought. It's like not ridiculous, but anyway, we're way up above Egilsstadir now, which is sort of behind us. Yeah, it's down there. We'll show you on the way back. Let's see if we can get something to eat and drink. the weather's changing already. It's still sunny, but the wind started to pick up. There's forecast quite strong winds tomorrow. And we had a bit of a toss-up whether we'd go there or whether we'd go out to the canyon, and I just can't remember the name of it at the moment. Sort of thought, oh well, we're a bit tired. We were up during the night with the Northern Lights last night. We'll go out there. And we're heading back, and just as well because it is, the winds are starting to pick up now. So this wouldn't have been suitable for tomorrow. I've got to say though, there's not a lot there yet. There's the Rainbow Street, and there's the little church, and that El Grillo where we actually had lunch. That was actually quite nice and are very friendly. If you've got plenty of time and you're looking to tick all of the sort of the icon boxes and the TikTok boxes and all those sort of things, it is quite nice. It's pretty, but there isn't a lot there, and there's plenty of other things to do in Iceland. If you haven't got a lot of time, then our recommendation would be go somewhere else, not because it's bad, but just because it's not so good that you can afford the time. Anyway, we're just slowing down in through here because it is very steep, and I've got some impatient drivers behind me, but that's okay.
At this time of the year, the Egilsstadir campground isn't very busy, but it's open, it's comfortable, with good showers and toilets, laundromat and a common room inside the main building.
The van's shaking around a lot, isn't it?
It is a little bit.
So we left Egilsstadir. The van is high, right? So you've just got to be careful with winds and those sorts of things. And once the winds get over 15 meters a second, the guys advise, well, they don't just advise, they actually say that you've got to sort of pull over somewhere safe and wait for the wind to abate a bit. We were looking at the forecasts, and so we were driving through just in the hope that we could get through before the winds picked up to that level and get onto the other side of a bit of a wind front. But we got up into the highland areas, and it just rapidly increased in intensity, and you can see we're rocking around like crazy here. Like we can't open the doors, like we can, but you'd have to do it under control. And some people are still driving with their vans, but we've actually watched them moving all over the road, and we actually watched a large bus swerving all over the road. We're not prepared to do that, and in any case the rental company basically say
Cause damage.
Yeah, if it causes damage, then it's on you regardless of your insurance. So we're warm enough in here, and we just have to sort of watch it. It's just unfortunate we're just in a bit of a spot that we're just got to wait for it to abate so that we can just get through to a better location. So we're in a farmer's paddock driveway, so we feel a little bit bad about that, but we've moved ourselves into a space which is safe, so we've taken the least worst option. And I suppose worst case we would stay here until it goes down. We just got some open areas of road between here and sort of the next 20, 30, 40 kilometres, so we want it to sort of abate a bit before we hit the road again. Otherwise we just bunker in. I mean, you probably can't hear it, but it's pretty wild. How are you going?
I think I'm carrying my weight in clothes.
Like the good Queenslanders we are, we're struggling with the clothes on, clothes off thing. It's an impressive amount of boardwalk and viewpoint work they've done here. There's two sides and two car parks. We don't know if it's all the same owner, but one side much shorter walks from the car park, and it's also near the camping ground. The other side there's a car park which is over there on the other side, and it's a longer walk in, and you can probably get a little bit closer to the basalt columns, and you can get down to the river area by going down that path. But I'm not sure whether you see the basalt columns as well as you do from this side, depending. So I think it's one of those things, if you've got time you try and do both. And it really just depends what experience you actually want to try. Like a lot of places in Iceland, this is private property, and the farm family own and run the campground and the car park, and there's obviously a lot of investment going on here. We don't know how that gets done, but very clearly they charge for car parking. Of course they charge for the campground, that sort of stuff. But the facilities there are actually quite tidy, and there's obviously a lot of investment going on. So it doesn't seem, it seems quite worth it when you know that they're doing all this extra investment. We're going to camp here for tonight. We just lost 3 hours today. Just having
gale winds.
Just those gale winds and blowing around, and it just wasn't safe. And then we sort of waited for it to ease off a little bit, and then we got to a safer place, and then we saw on the maps that coming into the canyon the wind was going to be a little bit less than it is on the main range area. So I'm thinking that you might get a slightly better experience if you're prepared to do the walking and all those sorts of things on the other side, but you get a really good viewpoint from this side. Nice, easy walking trails. We've got to
G'day.
We've bunkered up for the night.
We have.
Yeah, then it's cold out there.
Golden and a little bit windy.
Yeah, the wind's starting to
Die down a bit.
Little bit. Yeah, so we'll just get an early start tomorrow, but we're just basking in the sun.
It's nice.
It's a tiny bit of warmth in it. That's okay. We just figured that there's still some blustery winds that are right on the edge of what the van's allowed to drive in a couple of the places between here and the next leg, and we just figured that we were going to be rush, probably not get things in. So we just thought, we'll just
have a good night's sleep. Start again tomorrow.
Yeah. This campground's really good. Like, it's neat, and power, and they've been investing. So there's a sort of camp kitchen, which is a basic camp kitchen, but it is actually like enclosed with a clear roof over the top, so it just gets you out of the weather a bit, with a bench. They don't have thermal water here, so geothermal water, so everything's got to be heated with electricity, so that adds to a little bit of their expense. This campground's only open from May until October, and at the moment there's only 2 campers in here, so we're very late in their season. And I think their little tuck shop canteen sort of shop closes at 5. Yeah, people are welcome to come in and camp after hours. They've just got to pay the next morning. We'll get ourselves comfortable for the evening, and then make a relatively early start, like not a stupid start, but a relatively early start. We had a lot going on at home before we even started this trip, so we were actually tired before we started. It's a lot of travel, been a lot of weather. It has been fun. Then I sort of took a tumble. All right, so there's been a bit going on. So I think we just sort of hit a wall this afternoon, or I did anyway, and sort of thought, oh well, let's just stop and take a breather for the afternoon, and then we'll pick it up tomorrow. Tomorrow we're thinking Dettifoss, Europe's biggest waterfall apparently. You can't stop for all the waterfalls in Iceland.
No, there's too many. Every 5 minutes.
Then we'll head into Mývatn, which is sort of another one of the geothermal areas. We're still tossing up whether we're going to do the thermal pools. I'd like to, but I can't get the cast wet. So I could be walking. We were having a bit of a laugh the other day. Like in Australia, if you're in the water and you put your hand up, the lifeguard comes to save you. So so we'll see, and we'll keep making our way across the north. We're a couple of days behind now, 2 or 3 days behind really where we would have liked to have been, and mainly because of the weather, and that's just life.
Yep.
So you do the things that you can do. All right. On that note, we're going to lap up the last of the sun, and then bunker down for the night. See you tomorrow. It's -4 over here. We were snugly. Water dumped out of the caravan. I think it has like a protection thing so that water doesn't freeze in its pipe, and you can see the ice where it's all formed up where the water's dumped out and it's all crunching. Anyway, breakfast time, then we've got to get moving. G'day. It's stunning drive. We had a relatively early start, frosty start. We decided to stay there because it was still blustery, sort of windy, and we're glad we did because this is quite open and exposed. This section between that canyon and Dettifoss, and then the geothermal areas of Mivart, where we're heading today. And then we're driving through this area, and it's just stunning. It's just brilliant. Anyway, it's not too bad. It's a balmy 2 degrees here compared to -4 where we got up this morning. Alright, we're off to... Where are we off to?
Come
on,
Dettifoss.
No, it's not dental floss, right?
No, I didn't say dental.
It is Dettifoss.
Dettifoss. It's a floss.
It's not a floss, it's a foss.
It's a foss.
Mind you, I mean, we're both butchering the names here in Iceland. Icelandic, it doesn't come naturally to us. We're on the western side, so we're about to find out whether the western side is better than the eastern side. It's a big long drive around to go from one side to the other. We're just under a kilometre walk from the car park to wherever the viewpoint is for the falls.
Which isn't too bad.
No, it's a beautiful walk. It's a beautiful stroll. Yeah, a lot of ice on the ground. So we're into a much colder part. We're up north. Yeah. You don't want to come any closer?
No, I'm fine, thank you. Can't get that smell on the camera.
Yeah, if you've got the smell-o-vision package, you can pick up the sulphur smell. How's the odour, Paula?
It'd clean the nasal hairs out of your nose.
It's pretty pungent. Everywhere you can hear like the plop, 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 plop of mud and stuff bubbling up, can't you?
Yeah.
Are you playing in the mud?
Yes.
Is that good?
Yeah, it's quite good. Something you don't see every day?
It's certainly not where we're from.
No.
See if we can get our boots cleaned off and get back in, and we'll see what's next.
Yeah.
This weather's here for this evening. Did you nearly get run over while you're playing in the water? Hey look, you got Christmas boots and socks on. Hey, g'day.
G'day, g'day.
We're at Godafoss. It actually caught us by surprise. We weren't quite expecting it here. I don't know where we expected it, just not here. It's been an interesting morning. We kicked off out of near Mivart. We didn't get the most out of Mivart. Just in the end, with this, it wasn't going to be very comfortable going to a thermal baths and all that sort of stuff. So we've sort of missed out on one of those. So we've ticked a few other bucket list items. I haven't ticked that one. Paula wasn't that fussed. She just feels that she's going to be sort of getting naked in front of everybody, which at those baths you're not, but in any case. but for me, trying to wander around and get the value out of it with my arm up out of the water wasn't going to work, so we didn't do that. It's actually quite specky here, isn't it?
It's nice, there's caves and everything.
Yeah. We hit the road and there was ice on the road, and again that sort of shouldn't surprise us this time of the year. But just not conditions that we're used to driving in. So we'll go and have a look at Godafoss, maybe take a couple of photos. Probably
go for a walk. I think it's really pretty.
We've lost too many days now, so we have to make up some distance. Apart from fuel stops, we now have to skip Aquary and get closer to the Snaefellsnes Peninsula, nearly 400 kilometres away.
It's a long tunnel.
Yes, it is. They're very dark.
Probably can't see me here.
No.
It's just picture book. It's just picture book. It's just absolutely amazing. And, the sun's out, so it feels nice. And just a beautiful area. Usual, but it would be pretty hazardous driving if you had the combination of like the cold ice, snow, and rain. So you can sort of see why they close roads. But this is just absolutely stunning. Oh, it's been a long day. We're sort of pushing through. We don't know whether the next campsite is actually open, if it's a winter campsite or not, so we're taking a bit of a chance. We couldn't call them, so we'll just have to play it by ear when we get there. But we needed to sort of just push through some weather, some fresh snow being dumped up on these peaks off to our west, off to the right of the car. Hopefully we can sort of get ourselves into Snaefellsnes Peninsula and over towards Kirkjufell with some reasonable weather, and see if we can get some photos and have a look at that before heading back. We don't know how much time we'll spend in the Golden Circle. We've just about run out of time. You know, we've lost 4 days between some bad weather and just having to double back, and me breaking my wrist, which didn't help, of course. These are the things that happen, and you just then sort of make decisions about what your priorities are and make the best of it. Well, we got there and it's closed, so we're now going to have to push through over an hour towards Seyðisfjordur, over near Kirkjufell. So we've got about an hour and a half before sunset, so we'll just push through. It's been a long day. We got almost into Seyðisfjörður, and then the road's been shut because there's been an accident on the road, which sounds nasty. We've now been diverted inland onto a bit of a gravel road bypass, and in the words of the rescue guys, it is not a good road, but it will get you there. The adventure continues. There's a line of traffic coming back, so
hopefully it will get us there.
It will get us there, but yeah, we're rapidly losing light.
With the light rapidly fading, we make it to Gudafjordur campsite. The sky seemed to be clearing, but exhausted, we have a basic meal and collapse into bed. We got up in the dark, hoping for a sunrise shot across Kirkjufell and the falls. The light teased, the clouds rebuilt, and the weather started to close back in.
I think we're leaving just in time.
Yes, I think we are.
Oh, I just went out to take a photo, froze my backside off. It's actually getting colder. Anyway, all right, we better sort of get going before it gets too cold. All right, all right, we're going to go up over the pass.
With just 2 nights left and a booking at Freetimer for lunch tomorrow, we make our way toward the Golden Triangle.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it?
It is pretty good. It's very strong.
Say Dettifoss was the bigger one.
Yep.
But this is seems more powerful than Dettifoss and Godafoss.
Yep.
We're going to head back to Thingvellir to the campsite. We're going to have to sort of beat the wind tomorrow. There's some wind forecast coming in, but it's just too far to get back to Reykjavik tonight, we think. So we'll get to the campsite and then evaluate from there. But seriously pretty here. You've got the snow-capped mountains with the sun sitting on them, and then of course Gale-Forced.
We really like the waterfalls on the south coast.
Yeah.
Actually, we've liked everything we've seen.
Tonight is our last night in the van. We have got the van tomorrow night, but we've got to clean it up. We've got to repack and get ourselves ready to get back to the UK. We weren't sure what the weather was going to be doing and all that sort of stuff, so it would have been doable, but we thought we'd take the easy option. So we've got and as it works out, it's going to be bad winds tomorrow, so we might have got that judgment call right. That's if we can actually get back to Keflavik, because if the winds are forecast the way they're supposed to be, we might go over the 15km/h limit. That just could make it a little bit more fun for our last full day in Iceland. And it's been interesting being in the camper van, because people have said to us, have you tried camper van? Wouldn't you prefer camper vans? And we'll have a bit of a think about that, but I suspect that the answer is no. We like our expedition caravan being towed by the Defender, but it was an interesting way of doing this, and also interesting to do this rather than rent a car and do the hotels, which certainly would have been a bit more luxe, a bit more comfortable at times. Probably wouldn't have been as readily able to get some of those spectacular northern light shots because we were pretty much on location. We'll wrap all that up before we head to the UK, where we've got another completely different adventure. Sort of feels a little bit like van life in this adventure, but it's not van life. But anyway, you'll have to wait and see when we do that. But we've had some serious driving in the last 2 days. We had to make up some ground just because of what we'd lost earlier in the trip. So it's probably been a bit much, and the wrist, whilst it's been nice and braced up and been working fine, it is actually starting to get tired and sore.
Oh shit.
That's Giza. It's sort of one of the other sort of iconic spots of the Golden Triangle. That's straight after the 70 sign. Anyway, we took the helicopter trip and we went to the one up at near Mivar. So we did a couple of thermal areas. I suppose the significance of this one is it's got the geyser that sort of spouts sort of every 20 minutes or so. It's only about 10 minutes away from Gale-Forced. So if you're only doing a short trip or you're not seeing any of the other thermal areas, probably not a bad one to stop. A lot of people there, sort of very commercialised. We're sort of pressed for time, so we'll drop that one off. Morning.
Morning.
We've had to leave a little bit early. This is our last day in the van, and over the last day or so the weather warnings have been building up, and it looks like today is going to be gale-force winds between here and Keflavik, where we've got to return the van tomorrow. But we were staying at a hotel tonight just so that we could get all the gear out and get everything sorted out. In there is where the visitors centre is at Thingvellir, and that's where the two tectonic plates are, for the European and the American tectonic plates. We wanted to go there, but as you can see, the weather's setting in a little bit. The wind's starting to pick up, and by mid-morning to lunchtime today, gale-force winds, but at a level where we can't drive this car. It blows it around too much and puts it at risk. And so they'd actually require us to pull off the road and just stay there somewhere safe, and the winds aren't due to abate until late tonight, tomorrow morning. So we've decided to get out of Thingvellir National Park, which is a bit of a shame. We would have got up this morning and waited for a slight break in the rain, hopefully, and gone through to have a look. But we've already been through one severe bout of wind over on the northeast coast, and it was not pleasant and it wasn't fun at all. So we're just going to get our way back. The wind's picking up. We could just start to feel it gust a little bit, but hopefully we get off the higher plateau before it gets too big, and then we're just going to have to negotiate the winds as they pick up down towards Keflavik. Problem is that if we even go to Reykjavik, we're then going to get stuck not being able to get down to Keflavik by the look of the forecasts. So anyway, it's a change of plan, but it's the things that you've got to do in Iceland, and particularly Iceland at this time of the year. And overall, we've had the full range of weather. We haven't had snow, but we have had ice. We've had some pouring rain. We've had heavy winds. We've had clear nights and northern lights. So we really can't complain. We sort of knew what we were in for if we did a September-October trip. So it's just a bit of a shame that it has to end this way, but as Paula said, you've got to be safe, particularly with a day to go. Just using the last of the food.
Yes.
Trip's almost at an end.
I know, it's a bit sad, isn't it?
Okay.
The wind won, we've got gale winds. So we're bunkered up at the hotel we're staying tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, before we fly out tomorrow.
So we had originally planned that we'd get in late today in the van and return and basically unpack, jump into a hotel room at the airport, sort of unpack, return the van, and then get ourselves sorted out before jumping on a plane for tomorrow. We probably lost about 4 days total between bad weather and me breaking my wrist. Maybe a little bit more.
We've still had a good time though.
We've had a good time, yes. It was a 2-week van trip, so with 3 days at Reykjavik on the way through, and we probably ended up doing the Ring Road in about 10 days.
Yes.
Yeah. So, which is probably, we think, the minimum. Some people do it in 7 days, right? I think you'd really just be ticking the boxes if you went through. And we tend to sort of, and people are driving in late at night into campgrounds and those sorts of things, which we prefer not to do. The camper van, what do you think about the camper van?
It's been okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit squeezy.
Yeah.
Not as luxurious as what we used to.
Yeah, it's not as good as the hardtop, the Expedition, or the base, is it?
Or the base.
No, we've never really liked east-west beds, and this has just proved why we don't. We've been warm enough though.
Yes, we have been warm enough.
Yeah, but we brought a couple of thin travel blankets. So Paula's got a thin down blanket, and I've got a thin Shelate 3M thin Shelate, and they pack up really compact. We bought those because we sort of thought, in addition to the bedding that the camper van rental people put in, we might like that. And that meant we didn't need the heater on during the night. We just heated the van up while we were camped up. And then when we went to bed at night, we turned the gas heating off, and we just turned it on just a little bit in the morning as we had breakfast and those sorts of things.
Yep.
There's a loo and a shower, combined loo and shower. Now, we didn't use the shower here. The shower head is the same as the tap. It's just too squeezy in there, isn't it?
Yeah. We went and used the showers in the campgrounds.
Yeah. And most of those were pretty good, weren't they?
Yeah, which is what we would do if we were in the van anyway.
If we were near a facility where there was a campground that had, say, pressure showers and those sorts of things, we'd do that. So in Iceland, some of the campgrounds, like the one that we were at last night, the National Park one at Thingvellir, the showers are included, although there was only one shower working at our particular campground. A couple of the other nearer campgrounds had some extra showers working, and all the outdoor water is now off for the winter so that the pipes don't freeze.
That's not a problem you have in Brisbane.
No. Little loo with the cassette toilet. Now, I've got to say, not that it's ever been an issue in our mind,
no.
But for those people who still hang on to the view that a cassette toilet is better than a composting, no way, Jose, not a chance. So that's been a bit of a pain. And again, we minimised the use on that, but and most of the campgrounds had dump points and those sorts of things. We had to go and find one near the airport this morning, but yeah, that's not great, and it's particularly sort of when it's sort of bitterly cold and the wind's blowing around and all of those sorts of things. But it was fine for urgent stuff overnight. That's the stuff. Again, a lot of the campgrounds, there's 3 different. There's Orcan, OB, and N1 service stations all around the Ring Road. Some people say on some of the videos that keep topping up because they're few and far between, but by Australian remote standards, no, we didn't have too many problems. We would normally keep the tank at least half full anyway.
Yep.
But the N1s are full service stations. So yeah, good for hot chocolate and the coffee. The coffee's not that great, but hot chocolate's all right. You know, normal convenience store type of things. And the loos in all of them have actually been very clean, haven't they?
They have been, actually.
Yeah. You can do that. Campgrounds, and there's some rest stops that have the WC sign out, and some are closed for the winter. The Orcan and the OB, a lot of the service stations are self-serve anyway, so you got to go and do your card, swipe your card, estimate the amount of fuel, fill up, and then it reconciles the fuel at the end. Some of the N1 it just reconciles exactly what you've used, but others it does the estimate, stops it, you know. So just get used to in your head how many litres you need, or more importantly what the rough equivalent of that is in Icelandic krona. You can actually do it to fill, but then it does a hold on your card for about 22,000 Icelandic krona. That clears a little bit later, but that will just depend on your provider how long that pending occurs. But that really wasn't a problem. Like, first time you do it, you just get used to the machine, but most of them have the option for different languages.
Yep.
You can Orcan OB, they tend to just be remote self-fuel service. N1 tends to be the full service stations. When I say full service, like they've got convenience store as well, and gas exchange for some of them. This had gas heating. We were actually used to the gas heating. It's not as sophisticated as we had in our first van.
No.
We have diesel heating now, which is so much better. I look like a mess. It's because it's Gale-Forced winds out there. been blown around. So we're going to have some lunch. We can't check in to the airport hotel. They're not ready for us at the moment, but that's fine. We've got a camper van, and we've got to just sort of pack and move some stuff. So it's going to be a bit of an afternoon of a bit of organisation. So we've lost a day, but in the end we'll just take our time and just do the cross check. And then if I can return the van early, I will. That means that we won't have to muck around tomorrow in the weather. We'll just do a quick walk around after lunch and introduce the van to you and just let you know how that compares to being in a caravan. But I'd say overall hasn't been too bad, and certainly more convenient than if you're in a car in a hotel. Probably it's not cheap, but it probably is cheaper than car and hotel, but of course it's not as luxurious. A little bit more flexibility, but we'll talk about that a little bit after we've had some lunch. So quickly through the van, not the most powerful van, but it was fine. We got a 4x4, or it's a constant 4-wheel drive van. We weren't quite sure about some of the roads that we'd get onto or some of the conditions. Look, to be honest, you probably don't need to spend the money for that at the time of the year that we were at. Once you start getting a little bit icier, or in the summer if you can do some of the F-roads, and you can't do all the F-roads in this van anyway.
No.
So check all that out. It's well and truly done some hard kilometres, this van, so it's done its time. But look, it was fine. Manual, you know, I can drive a manual, Paula can drive a manual, so that was fine. You can spin both of the front chairs around so that you can use them for either eating at the table or just relaxing. We tend to just mostly relax. We didn't really eat at the table.
No.
I did a little bit of work at the table, just some video processing and all those sorts of things. And that's not the most comfortable chair, really, is it?
No, it's quite upright, actually.
Yeah. But that tended to be just where we'd kept the camera bags. Plenty of overhead and storage in and around the cabin. The power setup, not quite as sophisticated as we're used to. They wouldn't really give us what the battery capacity was. They sort of said 6 to 8 hours. We did a couple of overnight stays where we were off electricity, and it worked, but for the most part, when you're camping around Iceland, you either live with the fact that you're going to run out of battery power sometime overnight and just have your gas, and you've got to turn your car on. But you either get used to that, or you've just got to pay the extra for electricity, so that all adds up. Electricity actually isn't that expensive, but the camping is expensive, right? So they're all sort of formed up campgrounds, and they vary. Just get used to parking up. It's really just like camping in a car park, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to be happy to have someone right next to you.
Yeah, there's no such thing as personal space. Like back home, you know, if someone camps right up next to you, everyone sort of raises their eyebrows because there's so much space. Little tiny sort of kitchenette.
There's not much bench space.
Gas stove, kettle and all those sorts of things, that sort of worked. Little bit of
cabinetry space. That's where we put the food, and then utensils, pots, and all.
Yeah. And this is all packed up for travel.
We were putting the towels here because everything was just rattling like crazy, and a reasonable sized fridge. It comes equipped with all the plates and those sorts of things. You can get 240 volt only when you're plugged in. You can get a little inverter. The inverter was quite noisy, and in the end we paid for it, but we ended up not using it. And quite a few USBs around, although the USBs at the front of the cabin didn't work. We're going to have to tell them, so they've got a blown fuse or something there, and that was a little bit hard with the navigator, which is actually plugged in sort of separately, using a Samsung Galaxy tablet. A few other USBs around the place, including over the bed. They were fine, except they're USB-A's, and we're just about entirely USB-C. Fortunately, I did bring a couple of USB-A cables with me just as a backup. Heaps of overhead storage. Like when you're traveling, you've really only got your bags, so it was pretty easy to load stuff out of the bags into the overhead storage. We didn't get much use out of the kitchen sink. 40 litres of water, and the drinking water in Iceland is fine. You absolutely do not need to buy bottled water.
No.
So anywhere where it's a drinking water tap is absolutely fine. We saw some people filling up every now and then near where the dump points are. I just would not touch those hoses.
Most of the signs say don't.
And most of them say don't do it. Just from Amazon, I just got this little 5 litre bag. You can actually buy them cheap as chips. And they flat pack, all right, and we were just filling up, because even though we've got a 40 litre tank, even the rental people didn't suggest using the water tanks for drinking water. So for showering is fine, for the loos is fine, for washing up and all those sorts of things is fine, but they just sort of said they just don't know what's been through the tanks or in the pipe. We'd come prepared anyway, because we weren't sure about the drinking water tanks, because you just don't know when they've cleaned them last. Like with your own drinking water tanks, and you keep them clean. But yeah, we just had our water bottles and that extra drinking water, and that was heaps. By the way, this is a cold weather thing. It has a system so that the pipes don't freeze. It has a system where if the temperature goes to 0 or below, it dumps all of your water except the loo water. So a couple of places where we'd actually filled up the tanks, and then next thing you know,
no water other than what we were drinking, which was fine.
Yeah. The bathroom, as you can see, is cosy, as they would say in real estate terms. It's actually just too squeezy. I mean, it's not really an effective way. Like, you've got to be, I'm 180 centimetres, and that's too tight in there for the loo. Back up for emergency and all those sorts of things overnight, fine. But just another example of why having combined shower and toilet for us, no, it just reinforces why we've made the decisions we've made with our own van. But for a 14-day ring road trip, I mean, the van was fine, wasn't it?
Yeah.
All of the windows got blinds. I mean, what you see is what you get. It's pretty basic. You'll see the QR code up there. That's the manual. You've got to have a look at those sorts of things, because we had a problem where the gas just wouldn't work, and we couldn't get the gas heating to work or anything like that. And as it worked out, it was because we had cracked one of the windows. We just literally had opened it up to get a bit of ventilation in, and that particular one has a sensor in it, and for some reason, if that one's not closed, the gas cutoff clicks in, so you couldn't use it. So it took us a little while ringing their helpline. Look, overall, they were very, very good, the people who we rented from. They were helpful. They sent us heaps of information in advance, and all the things that they said that would be in the van are in the van. No issue there. I would just say that the van was a bit tired and well worn, and it's very expensive.
You don't know until you rock up.
Yeah, correct.
What you're going to actually get.
They do have bigger, more comfortable camper vans, motorhomes, particularly for families or with a better bed arrangement. The roads in Iceland can be narrow in places, right? They're generally in pretty good nick compared to, say, our remote roads. So the ring road is actually fine, but the ring road is narrow, and it's sort of like a regional or a remote sealed road in Australia in places.
Yeah.
So between that and the wind sometimes there's pushing you around, there is absolutely no verge, right, in most of Iceland. So just be careful. If you get a wider van or a wider car,
There's not a lot of room, and you've got to drive for the fact that the locals, whilst they're used to things, it's quite clear that a lot of the tourists, and we're tourists, are uncertain. You can come around some bends and find people sitting, up the centre of the road. But look, overall, it did us well. It was comfortable. Even today, where we've had to pull up early because we can't get into the hotel for a few hours, we're sort of comfortable being able to have lunch and all those sorts of things. But right now we've got to clean up because we've got to hand it back in a reasonable state, pack our bags and move into the room for the night before heading back to the UK tomorrow. So on that note, if you've got any comments or any questions, put them down in the comments, of course. Don't forget to like and subscribe. As you know, 100% of our YouTube advertising revenue does go to charity. We make no money out of it. We're just sharing. So I hope you get something out of it. And if you like it, like, subscribe. And for a lot of our van subscribers back home, we know that you don't like the overseas trips. Some of our subscribers like both, or some of the subscribers, international subscribers, do actually like these overseas trips. It's just us. It's just the way it is. Check it out because it is actually a spectacular.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, just come prepared for the weather.
Yeah.
We were fine.
All sorts of weather.
Yeah. So it can get cold, can get windy, but don't let that stop you. Beautiful country. And next thing you know, you'll see us at the airport heading to the UK, and we've got another special trip, which is like van life. It's like a van trip, but it's different. So put it down in the comments. You can have a guess what you think we might be doing in the UK. Time to go. And it's last little dash in the rain.
Yes, last dash in the rain.
Time to leave Iceland. Again, thanks for joining us. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember, 100% of our YouTube advertising revenue goes to charity.